More lawsuits are being filed in states across the country looking to kick former President Donald Trump off 2024 ballots. After this week's Colorado Supreme Court ruling, constitutional law expert Professor Jonathan Turley with this note of caution.
You have 4 justices of the Colorado Supreme Court that want to prevent millions of people from voting for what is currently the leading candidate for the presidency. But you also have people like the New York Times editor that recently said that anyone who questions this ruling is standing with Confederates. And it's that type of overheated rhetoric that we all have to be unified in condemning.
Former Utah Congressman Jason Chaffetz joins us now. Good morning, Jason. Listen, we've had a couple of days to digest all of this. What's your thought now, looking at what's happened and what's possibly going to happen?
I think it's scary, the number of people that are willing to take somebody off the ballot unilaterally for a crime that he was never charged with, never convicted of, and yet use that as justification to say the people shouldn't have the power. We, the judiciary branch, should have the power to take him off the ballot, rather than empowering the citizens of those states to make the decision. In Colorado, you're not even allowed to do it as a write-in. They would exclude those as well. So I think the absurdity of that spreading to these other states, I think politically, Democrats are just really hurting themselves. America has a sense of fairness. They understand when somebody is being a bully, and they understand when somebody isn't being treated fairly, and this all goes to the favor of Donald Trump and Republicans across the board who just say, we're trying to be the adults in the room. And Democrats, I think, are blowing an opportunity to stand up and say, no, the principle over policy here.
You know, you look at the map, and there are several other states that are trying to do the same thing with different cases. A couple of them have already been overturned, but these are suits to bar Trump from the ballot. The Wall Street Journal writes it this way: national unity in the Colorado Supreme Court. And so our end-of-year prediction, the court will take the case and won't uphold the Colorado ruling, not a prediction, but a hope that the decision be unanimous, that it not be open to suspicions of partisan hackery, that it show unity, a court of many pieces holding together when the stakes are high. What's the going bet about the Supreme Court in this? You remember, this is a Colorado Supreme Court decision dealing with a primary.
Yeah, Peggy Noonan's pretty smart. I think she's spot on this one. I think the court needs to address this sooner rather than later. We're just over 3 weeks from the Iowa caucuses, and then we start rolling really quickly. If you're Nikki Haley or you're Ron DeSantis, this is a huge distraction. You're 3 weeks, just over 3 weeks out from the vote, and this is what we're talking about rather than what's going on in the Iowa caucuses. So they got to address this soon.
I want to turn to another topic. The former federal prosecutor who allegedly shielded President Biden and his son from investigation testifying, but not with a lot. Here's the chairman, Jim Jordan.
Ms. Wolf refused to answer most of our questions. Even, we had a number of exhibits where she's sending the email, she's receiving the email, and she refused to answer just about every question it seemed we had.
Leslie Wolf apparently testified, Jason, 79 times that she was not authorized by the Justice Department to answer questions. What about all this? You've been in that oversight role.
Yeah, I used to be the chairman, and we don't take it lightly when somebody in the administration during an authorized investigation will not answer questions, not pleading the fifth, but just simply refusing to answer the questions based on a 5-page memo from some, yuckity-yuck up in the bureau. I mean, you have FBI agents who wanted to pursue things with a subpoena. You have IRS whistleblowers who were in meetings taking contemporary notes about Leslie Wolf and what she did and what she excluded and what she wouldn't allow to happen. And the idea that she allegedly maybe tipped off the Biden family or the Biden legal team with their ability to go out and subpoena documents. There's a lot of really serious allegations here. For her to not answer Congress, that is just not acceptable.
Well, we will follow it all. Jason, as always, thank you. Merry Christmas.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.